Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Purple Nuna Podcast. I am Stephanie Conti, and I am here with the Louise to my Evan, Savanna Lanausse.
Hi, buongiorno.
Buongiorno. So long time. I feel like it's been like 18 years since I've sat in front of the mic, but it's been what, 2 or 3 weeks?
About 3 weeks, a good 3
About
weeks.
3 weeks. Sorry about that, folks. I had some finals. Savannah had some finals as well. But mine were a little bit more aggressive, and I may have not passed one and had to retake it, and now I have another exam to take because I didn't pass it the first time, but it's okay. It's okay. We're making it. Slow and steady wins the race, like tortoise and hare. But how are you doing, Savannah?
I'm coolio. How are you doing?
Good? I'm doing good. I think something happened this weekend, and I truly realized, I think there's just like, I kind of realized there's moments, oh, I hit the mic. There's moments in life where you just realize, like, yes, the person I'm with right now is the person I'm meant to be with. And I say
Absolutely.
this because I not only am, and keep in mind, my boyfriend is in videography school, but he is not a movie person like you and I.
Of course, okay.
So, but he likes all the technical stuff and things like that. He likes all that
Yeah.
cool stuff. So that's where our little differences are. In 48 hours, I got this man who does not like, who couldn't even watch Tusk. And I'm not throwing him under the bus. But I'm just saying that's his tolerance level is Tusk. In 48 hours, I had asked him to watch Come and See, as well as The House That Jack Built.
That's a rough double feature you're doing there.
That's like the what's the point of even living combo. Like, you really want to test someone's strength and love for life, just hit them with the Come and See and hit them with the House That Jack Built combo.
Yeah.
Literally, like the iceberg tier with the film tier, that's like,
Oh my gosh, yeah, they're like level 3 or something.
like, I could have given, like, I think tier A has like Midsummer or something like that. I could have hit him with a Midsummer or Hereditary. Tier A. No, I went straight to tier D. I went right before the black market stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so and surprisingly too, like, I just thought he was either just gonna cap out or be like, nope, this ain't for me, which I would have totally understood, but he was a trooper. He watched both and he liked both, and both shockingly and also worryingly, he likes a House That Jack Built a little bit more than Come and See, which could be just like, oh yeah, because of the plot, but part of my brain is like, is it just for the plot?
Does he relate in any way? No. I could see that because the House that Jack built is a little bit more entertaining. Come and See can be slow at some points. So I can see where Zach's coming from there.
Yeah, I feel like Come and See is like Dueling Dragons roller coaster, and A House That Jack Built is also Dueling Dragons roller coaster, but you get stuck on it for a minute and 20 seconds upside down before coming back down. That's
Sure.
how I feel like a good level. So I think he enjoyed the adrenaline rush of it. But that's how you know. Look, I'm telling you right now, relationship test. Sit down your partner and have him watch both Come and See It and The House That Jack Built. If they stay in the room with you, well, I mean, also it depends if you like those two movies. But if you like those two movies like I do, and if they stick around, they're
That's
yours for good. You gotta keep her.
That's a strong request.
I know. I feel like it's even it's slightly more realistic for me to ask, like, oh yeah, pull the sword from King Arthur or whatever that mythical thing was that I haven't heard about. Well, I haven't heard about it in 10 years or something like that. But it was a task that I didn't even realize was a task at a time. I was just in a dark mood. I mean, started out with Come and See. 24 hours later, I'm like, let's go deeper. Let's go even further beyond.
Let's test this more.
And I hit him with the House That Jack Built. I could have hit him with the Antichrist.
No, I think that's one step too much.
I could have hit him with the Nymphomaniacs Volume 1 and 2. Could have done that. But I didn't. Well, also, when I guide people on movies, I'd like to give them movies that I've seen. Like, I'm not going to be like, yeah, watch Nymphomaniac 1 and 2, and not, even though I've never seen it, and just not, I'm not going to do that to someone and make someone go through that without knowing what I've gone through if I had seen it.
Yeah, that's good, because if you haven't seen it and it's some wild stuff that you weren't expecting, yeah, that's a reflection on you.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm like, oh, isn't it supposed to be a happy, like, good movie? It's like, no. Like, or about like Hereditary. If I lightly recommended Hereditary, like, oh yeah, it's a family drama. If someone watches it, they're gonna
I mean,
either
that's kind of true, actually. It is a
it
family
is,
drama.
but here's the thing, that is such a sketchy way. If anyone just describes as, oh yeah, Hereditary, it's a family drama. They're just wanting to hear you come back to them screaming to be like, how could you do this to me? It wasn't a
Absolutely.
family drama. The pole,
The poll.
you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was a test to our relationship. But anything new going on with you? Any new movies that you've seen? Any new TV shows you indulged in?
I got a list. Ready?
Oh my
So,
god, I'm
for
ready.
the first time I saw, have you ever seen Defending Your Life? It's a Criterion with Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Recommend it. It's pretty funny.
Nice,
I
nice.
highly enjoyed. And I saw Barry Lyndon for the first time.
Oh, okay.
And
And
it
what did
didn't
you think of that? I've
disappoint.
never seen either of those, but oh, didn't disappoint. Good.
No, it was different for Kubrick, but still Kubrick.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Um,
Kind of like a Lolita.
yeah, that's actually very good. That's a good comparison.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything
Um,
else?
I'm into Downton Abbey now.
Oh my god. Oh, I will tell you right now. You have to call up my grandma and just say those words. My grandma's the biggest out. You and Louise are gonna
I
have
need
the
to give
time
her
of
a
your
call.
life. Are you kidding me? I think like the last time my grandma hasn't gone to like a movie theater in like probably 15 years, but she got out of hibernation and she went out for the Downton Abbey movie. I will tell you that right
Tell her they're
now.
making a sequel.
I think she knows. She's on it. She's on it. She subscribes to that channel all the time. It's so funny too because whenever she visits, there's always certain she's a big BBC lover. So any like she would always have me cuz she doesn't know how to work the remotes. But she would be like, "Can you record this for me?" And it would be always be Downton Abbey. There's something Mr. Brown, some Angela Lansbury stuff, just all things Brit my grandma watched. And she would enjoy and she would just rewatch and rewatch. And like my grandma's mentally sound, so it's not like, oh, she's forgetting, she's just rewatching every time. No, she just loves it. My
It's
grandma's one of those people where she can just love something over and over again, like movie wise.
it's fantastic. I like British TV, and this is like perfect.
In some ways, I will say British TV is a little bit superior. And I will say because of this, because a lot of like the best TV shows are British originals. So like
Fleabag.
for Fleabag,
I love Fleabag.
Shameless was originally a British TV show
I
that
didn't
went
know
on
that.
went on for like 10 years. Cause I was telling my mom, cause me and her have been watching Shameless. I'm like, hey, we got a whole nother Shameless to watch after this. Get looking forward to it. So there's a British Shameless. And then also of course like things like The Office that was first done in Britain, of
Yeah.
course. But also things like Miranda, the
Oh,
best. The best. I will say British female comedies are solid.
oh, British women are hilarious.
The best.
They're
And
better
then
than us.
did you ever get into Absolutely Fabulous?
I saw a few episodes. Very funny.
So good. I watched the movie. I got really into Absolutely Fabulous. I think it was also these shows were really great for it's not only just today but for its time because they
Right.
always push the envelope. Fleabag, I mean, second season, I'm flirting with a priest. We're pushing the envelope and things like that. But I think they
Yep.
just do like I think British female-led comedies are just some of the best.
Agreed.
Definitely top 3, Miranda, Fleabag, and Absolutely Fabulous. If you know any British-led female comedies, let me know because I'm always down. I'm always looking for some female British comedies. I love them.
Absolutely.
I love them. So I'm trying to think. Any other movies or TV shows or anything you've been indulging?
Just Downton Abbey.
I haven't been able to watch a whole lot. I had like a big movie, like the 2 movies in a weekend. That's a lot for me. But the reason why I haven't been is because of studying. It's hard. I'm also someone where sadly I can't get fully into a TV show during school, or else I just want to binge it. And then next thing you
Yeah.
know, it's 11 p.m. I haven't studied for my midterm and I'm screwed. So I usually watch just, random YouTube BS here and there.
Yeah.
So, before we introduce this film that we're going to be talking about today, definitely want to give a shout out to the person who recommended it to us, James Marsh. He was on
Homie
our show last time.
James!
He essentially, we were talking about another movie by the two directors here, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, and he totally recommended us to check this out. So thank you, James, so much for the recommendation. If you have any recommendations for other movies that you want us to look at, maybe a synchronic, whatever it may be, feel free to message us on Instagram, Twitter, or just simply comment below. We're always adding new stuff to our list. But Savanna, without further ado, please explain what spring is.
Sure. Spring takes place in Italy, and a young man in a personal tailspin flees from the US, where he sparks up a romance with a woman harboring a dark secret. This is a horror romance. Came out 2014, stars Lou Taylor Pucci and Nadia Hilker, and is directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead.
Awesome. So Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, if you were like, that name sounds familiar, they've done the movie Synchronic, which has been very, very popular as of lately on Netflix. And also they are attached to Disney's new Moon Knight series, which I'm very excited for because they got oh my god, what's his name? From Star Wars.
Yeah,
And from Ex Machina.
I know who you're talking about.
I always forget his name. But anyways, sorry, man. Sorry. I don't mean the disrespect. But this was I can genuinely say this movie was a pleasant surprise.
Very much so. Very much so. I don't have, when I heard horror romance, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have high hopes because in the past, this genre doesn't fuse well
Yeah.
most of the time. So I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I think they did a really good job teetering that line.
Yeah, and not only does it not bode well all the time, but sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes when you focus, it really is like a teetering balance. You know, if you focus too much on the comedy, you're losing the seriousness or of the drama or the horror that's going on. Or if you focus too much on the horror, you really can't appreciate the comedic bits. Or if the comedic bits do happen, they don't land. So this movie does a fantastic balance between the two.
Oh, sure. I think they kind of hit it on the head in terms of the genre itself. And I think this is a good launch pad for other directors or writers that want to do a fusion like this.
Yeah, or even just try something different, you know, something that
Yeah.
sounds like this on paper, the full plot and everything sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It sounds
But
weird. It's a
if
weird thing.
as long as it has good writing and good dialogue and actors who are dedicated to the work, you can pretty much make anything good. And this is one of those movies where, like I said, on paper, you might go, yeah, hard pass. But in reality, it's a fantastic film, highly enjoyable, highly entertaining. Let's break this up in categories. So let's talk about the writing first. So Savannah, what did you think about the writing of this movie?
I thought it was decent.
That was
I
decent,
think
or decent feels like a very mid-level word.
well, let me explain. I
Okay.
think with romance, it could get very cheesy,
Mhm.
especially a lot of the romance movies that come out lately. It could get very ridiculous in a way. And I think with that, it was very, very good. However, when the romance element was out of the movie, I thought it was okay.
Mhm.
Like, explain when the horror kind of came into it, I thought they could have done a good job, better job at explaining. But I think in terms of how they went about writing the romance part, the romantic parts, I thought it was very well done. I think they did a good job on not making it insane when it could have been very insane.
For a movie that is very extravagant, it's very balanced. It is
Yes.
very, very balanced. In terms of the writing, dialogue is 10 out of 10. It flows naturally. You feel like, and I think because also since it is a cheaper production, it does feel more realistic. And I'm not saying that to just be, mean or anything. I'm just saying that as fact value. But it really does add like the really greatly written dialogue, even though there's not a whole lot of firm longer explanation of certain things about the movie.
Yeah.
I do think the interactions, like for example, when you have Lou Taylor Pucci's character Evan talking to the two British guys in Italy, the dialogue there and the interaction is so great. One of my favorites is when one of the British guys looks back and he's like, "You're lucky." Because I have emotions, and like he's doing that whole thing. I thought that was great, even though it didn't necessarily correlate to um, the main storyline. I really felt like it was breaking the ice of the movie.
Mhm.
Um, and then also the interaction between Evan and Louise, I
Yeah.
thought was excellent. Although at some points did it get a little weird, a little bit rushed, I would say.
Yeah, yes. The pace of the film is very fast, and I don't know if it was just because they were trying to get in as much information as possible.
Yeah, once you meet Louise, that's when the entire movie like takes flight.
Yes. So I think that might be a reason for some of the dialogue and some of the explanation of things being rushed.
Yeah, well, especially when cuz and now this is where the spoiler alerts come in. But especially when Louise is explaining what happens to her. They're
Yeah.
kind of going around in circles and stuff like that. And it's filmed very well. It's filmed very well. It's done very well. But it is going at like lightning speed, and it's like you have to watch that scene twice to really understand
Uh,
what she's saying, because it's
Absolutely.
not an easy to grasp concept. I mean, you have a woman who's here trying to get pregnant. She's trying to use the baby to have stem cells to prevent her from transitioning. She's got a rebirth. It's super super complicated.
I do wish they would have slowed down on that part because I feel like when you meet Louise, that's what's kind of building up. Like you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out what's wrong with this girl. And not only did they do it really, really fast, I feel like they had to spoon feed a lot of the information. Like she had to tell us what was going on in one scene. And then I thought it was very funny how he just accepted it. He was just like, okay. I was like, what?
And I
Like,
think also that also added a little bit of a comedic element to it, because immediately after hearing like, "Hey, I'm about to have your baby and it's really not a baby, it's me," and all this stuff like that, he's like, "Hold on." And then he goes to the telephone and he calls up his drunk friend. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I gotta go pregnant, but it's like weird because it's like gonna come out as like her, but it's gonna also be like 50% me, but it'll still be her." And like he's just trying, and I do understand that whole comedic element of it. I do wish this almost makes me wish I kind of wish it was a TV show. I wish it was a little bit easier to digest and dissect, even like a little limited series, if you will.
yeah, that way we can get a full grasp of Louisa and her situation. So I think really for me, that was the only struggle I saw in the film. Like that was the only point in the movie for me where I was just like, "Oh, well, okay, that could have been done better." But that's saying a lot because everything else was great. The one thing I enjoyed and the one thing I think the strength of this film, there are specifically 2 or 3 scenes where you see glimpses of Louisa.
Hmm.
When I tell you, I got really scared when I saw a gray skinny skeleton in the alleyway. Like, every scene where this girl is alone and she's transitioning is, like, horrifying. That is
Yeah,
the
because
strength of
she's
the film.
super emaciated looking and stuff like that. You would think it was like a zombie, so you're like, "Oh," and it's very jarring because you're seeing it at a distance and you're seeing something with like
That
the
is
waist the size of a quarter,
but that is
just like walking down.
perfect.
You're like, "Ah," like they did a great job with the special
The
effects of this
the
movie.
the distance of it, like you were saying, I thought that was the best move they could have made. Best move
Yeah,
they
it
could have made.
added a lot more realism to it, because also if it showed too close or if it focused too close on it, and even when like you can tell like where and when the budget was stretched. So using them like putting Louise farther away, making her look super skinny and emaciated and stuff like that, fantastic, because you get a quick glimpse of it and you're like, what was that?" And then you
Yeah.
just are left to proceed with like the next, scene essentially. But I liked how they did that, and then they saved the big budget special effects for when she's like fully transitioning into this mutant thing in front of um Evan. And that I was very impressed with for an indie film to
Yeah.
pull off that type, I was like, yes, because I love The Thing. The whole special effects and everything of that reminded me of like almost like The Thing style claymation and things like that. And I was totally for it because it adds like when you're looking at her transitioning into this, you know, creature and everything, it doesn't look like it's CGI. It doesn't look like some image
No.
floating over a floor. It looks
Yeah.
like something like with the tentacles, and it does add like you're like, like what? And I think they did I think it was genius that they used all the special effects and stuff like that because
Absolutely.
it made it more realistic and it didn't make because that scene right then and there could have made that film cheesy. That
Yeah.
scene right there could have easily taken it from a good movie to some B-rated flick, but because they chose to invest in that moment, it paid off.
Yeah.
It paid off 100%.
Completely agree. I want to talk about the superstar in this film, though. Angelo. Great man. He gives this poor kid a job on his farm.
Yep.
Beautiful. This Evan was talking about oranges at one point, and our man was just trying to do his work. He put up with
Yeah.
so much. I think he deserves some credit.
Angela was great, and I also liked how he kind of um aided in this not so necessarily straightforward role model to the guy because it wasn't he was like, Papa, what am I supposed to do, Papa Angelo? It wasn't like that or anything like that. It was like a I'm just kind of observing, and like he kind of learned from Angelo from just seeing him in his moments alone, especially like for example when he's at the church and he's looking at a picture of his wife who had passed and things like that. I feel like their relationship was solid. I also really like the fact that when he was like showing him like his new place and everything like that, I like he's like, "Oh yeah, if the hot water doesn't work," and he just takes a wrench and just beats the crap out of the water pipe and is like, "Eh, there you go." Um, and I also really liked when the police arrived and they were talking about immigration and Evan is like, "Should I run?" And he's like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
So I really liked it, and I really think also, the comedy in this usually I don't like, action comedies or, comedy duos, I will say, or comedy paired with other things because they end up being cheesy, they end up
Yeah.
being at the wrong points, and they end up cheapening a film. Or like you just being used to like take up space in a movie. I loved all the little comedic bits within this movie. I felt like it genuinely worked.
They were also really subtle. It wasn't too in your face, which I think helped a lot.
It
Because
was
if they were
naturally
trying to be
funny.
funny, yeah, if they were trying to be funny, I feel like it would have brought down the movie.
Yeah, I feel like it would have yeah, exactly. It would have brought down the movie. It would have been a little bit you just wouldn't be able to appreciate the good of the movie if it just had like cheap shots in it, you know?
Yeah.
Um I think the acting is fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
I
they did a
will
great
say
job.
this movie could not have been as good as it is without the two main leads.
Yeah.
I was genuinely surprised because I personally had not seen Lou Taylor Pucci or Nadia Hilker anywhere
Mhm.
else before. So I was kind of expecting indie acting style. A little bit too dramatic, a little bit this, but
Sure.
they really just hit it on the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like their chemistry and everything like that was really great.
He was
Their
in, oh, he was in, you ever see Evil Dead? The new Evil
oh,
Dead?
I read that on IMDb. No, I never saw the newer one. I
That's
also
where
know I think I saw him quickly on like I don't watch the show You, but I remember seeing
Yeah,
quickly
yes.
his face in that show.
He was the boyfriend. Yes, yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, so I remember when I think it was at your house you were watching it. And I remember seeing that face. I was like, "Oh, okay, I think I've seen that before."
Ah, yes, my guilty pleasure.
But and Nadia Hilker, she's on the show The 100 as well as Walking Dead. So she plays on several different shows and stuff like that too.
I don't remember her from The Walking Dead. I
But
don't know.
regardless, she's fantastic in here. I really and even when I watched this movie with my boyfriend, he was like, "I really like her acting." Like he was like, "That's probably like the one thing that's like he enjoyed the movie thoroughly, but he was like that she really stands out in this movie." And I totally agree.
Yeah,
She stands
she's
out compared to even many actors today. I will say that. It just felt very genuine. It felt very realistic and really just overall great acting. Like really really great acting.
agreed.
Was there
Absolutely.
any particular scene of your like, scene within the movie that was your favorite?
Again, I really like the scenes where you don't know what's going on and you're seeing it from far away because I really feel like that's where the movie is very unique, and those scenes are also very quiet. They
Yeah.
were very, very scary, and I think it's just I think that's where the strength is really here.
Yeah, I actually think because also there's no way you can explain this movie to someone without sounding like a nut or
Yeah.
sounding like you're just misinterpreting the entire movie.
Yeah.
There is no way you can explain the type of creature that Nadia is and I'm sorry, Louise is. And that's what I think makes this movie so great. Because Savannah, you tried to explain it to me. You're like, "Oh yeah, it's kind of like this thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But meanwhile, I see the skinny, quarter-inch waist version of her. Just that like 3-second clip, and in that like I just wasn't expecting it. So I just went, "Ah!" like just
It was
screamed and stuff.
scary. It
Because
was
it's just so
really
jarring and you're just not expecting that. But then also like I think also just to have the imagination to think of a creature like this and to think of the way this creature exists and how everything works and stuff and how it's like, oh yeah, by the way, in 24 hours, unless I love you, I'm going to birth out a version of myself to live again. What?
yeah.
That is insane. So props to the writer and director. For just creating something like this because
Yeah.
there's nothing else you can compare it to other things, but it will never land close to to the actual story that this movie is. um Brilliant idea in setting it in Italy. I feel like it adds a lot of charm to the
It gives
movie.
a little romance, a touch of romance. They did a good job.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think anything else about the movie. Oh, what did you think about the ending?
I usually don't like endings that just leave you there. I
Hmm.
am not that type of person, but I feel like with this movie, there's probably nothing better they could have done. Just because I think if they would have tried to give us like a final ending, they would have put themselves in a corner. So I think leaving it just kind of ambiguous, just the way it
Kind of
was.
hinting to one side, but you're not really sure, type of thing.
Sure. And I think leaving them just looking at a sunset, I think that's where the romance element comes in. And like I said, I think the complexity of her being whatever she is and just the movie, like let me be honest here. The movie doesn't really go anywhere. Like he gets to Italy, he meets this person, she's a creature. You don't really know what else they're going to do. You know what I mean? Like you're just like where are they going to go with this relationship?
Yeah, there's no way you could predict this movie. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way. If you could predict this movie, like, you're an absolute evil genius. Like, if you can actually predict how this movie's going to end and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that is probably the best ending they could have given them just because anything else would have either been stupidly complicated or you kind of would have been like, "Oh, okay, that's it. Cool. Like that's how it ends." I like this ending. What about you?
I totally agree. I also just really like the fact that in the end, I like all the different like they make use of the fact that they filmed it in Italy. You got to see some really great places. They actually got to take some history about Italy and kind of infuse it into the storyline, which I absolutely loved. I thought that was so great and very just interesting to see, especially when they're at like the Pompeii ruins and things like that.
Sure.
I really just love how he's just like going on about her and like just talking about her, and you kind of hear like these ominous, monster, noises in the background and things like that. And it really is like, like you're just wondering like what's gonna happen. I think it was great. I think like the way it ends is the way it needed to end. Like
Sure.
like you said, if we kind of had a definite ending, it would have been like, well, okay, well now I feel like what this movie does so great is that they just took the biggest concept I've ever seen in a movie before, right? And they took it, they grinded it up in a little mortar and pestle and actually put it in a little pill that's easy to swallow. Like on paper, if you write out, like I keep saying, the plot, it's ginormous. It's a big, big plot for one movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, even just the background and things like that and the science behind it and things like that, which I'm happy they didn't give too much because I feel like we could have wanted to we it would have not made sense. I feel like we could have
Yeah.
found flaws within it if they gave us too much detail. But it really is just a killer movie. It probably is, like, for a movie that came out in 2014, 2015, probably the most original movie I've seen of, like, you know, from 2010 to 2020.
Sure.
Honestly, it's probably the most original. Um, yeah, take that, Avatar. But I just
You're
realized that's
always sticking it to Avatar in some way. I love it.
I am always sticking it to the director. Let's just be clear. I'm always sticking it to the director. But, like, I genuinely think, like, this is one of the most original movies that's good. Like, one of the most original, outlandish, crazy, "Oh my god, what's going on, blah, blah, blah." That's actually good, and it's good solely as a movie, even without needing the sequel. Because that's an issue with movies that are this big. You're like, "I want more. Give me another full-length movie." This doesn't need that. You can
No,
enjoy it and fully enjoy it to almost a full capacity, you know?
definitely.
So overall, first let me ask you, would you want to own this movie on DVD and add it to your collection?
Yeah, why not? I feel like seeing it again at some point.
For sure, this is definitely the movie I'm bringing to, you know, the rare occasion I'm invited to a movie night and hold on. I'm invited to movie nights. The rare occasion I'm allowed to pick a
Yeah,
movie
I
for
don't know
movie
if we
night.
can sell
I'm
you out to
bringing this.
Tusk.
This is definitely the movie that's going to be in my little arsenal. This is definitely the one I'm throwing out. Um I would love to own it on DVD too. So what is your rating for this movie?
Okay, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I really like the film. I wish it was a little slower just so I could understand what was going on a little bit better because I feel like the movie was a little bit rushed. And I wish we had a little bit more scenes of the main lead in her creature state, at least some of the distant shots. But other than that, it was a fantastic film. Definitely the best horror romance movie you could see right now. The best one. 100%.
Out of the 5 that exist,
Yes,
it's the best
absolutely.
one. Um, honestly, I think I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Just because,
Nice.
although I do want a little bit more from this movie, it's not a give it to me. I need it in order to enjoy it. I already do enjoy the movie as is,
Mhm.
and I really like I've seen it twice in like 1 week, which is very rare for me. Like that's pretty rare. Usually I'm like, "Oh yeah, I just saw this yesterday and I won't see it again for a few weeks." This I actually saw
Right.
twice like within like 48 hours. So I really like it. It has a great enjoyability factor. I also love that it's something that I can absolutely show people because this is
Oh,
one of those
yeah.
movies where it's like because of its diversity and because it brings so much to the table, it's very easy to share with. And I love movies like that. Like that's how I feel about Tusk. Very easy to share. Not everyone's going to like it, but very easy to share. I feel like
Entertaining, sure.
absolutely. And I feel like cuz even if you have people like for example, you could bring a Marvel movie to the table, but not everyone's a comic book fan or people have seen that movie 14 different times. This is
Yeah.
something new, original that you could bring to the table and people are going to enjoy. And I hope since Aaron and Justin are kind of, you know, really launching and everything with the Chronic and stuff. I really hope people check out Spring. I really, really
Oh,
hope people check
sure.
out this movie. So yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10 for that reason. Um so next time you guys will be hearing from us, we're actually going to be discussing Malcolm and Marie. As always, thank you so much to Sensei David and Homeboy James. Also, shout out to Homeboy James for recommending us this great movie. If you would like a little shout out, please check out our Patreon down below and just check out the little weird tiers that we have. If not, if you're like, money's a little tight right now, don't worry, subscribe. Follow our social medias and stuff like that. TikToks, all links are down below. Share with your friends, your family, your godmother, your godfather, whatever you need, whatever you want. And yeah, the next time you hear from us, we are going to be discussing Malcolm and Marie. Bye.
Bye.